Hello and welcome to Declutter Your Craft Room. Awesome for you all to be here. Thanks for making time. If you are joining us live, we can use the chat or feel free to unmute yourself and let us know what you're up to and any questions you have along the way. And if you're watching the recording, you can also use the comments as well on YouTube and let us know if you have any questions. So let's keep this interactive, and it's always good fun. So let us know where you're joining us from in the chat and what you're interested in organizing today. We've been talking to some of the guests already. There's some sewers, some crocheting person, and cross stitch people. So looking forward to sharing ideas in relation to all of those and more today. As the little notice just popped up in front of you, the session will be recorded today, and we're going to pop on YouTube so that anyone that had registered for the event and couldn't make it today, they can have a look at. Wondering what accumulates in your craft room that you can focus on today so that we can have a bit of think about how can we declutter and organize it a bit better. I'm going to introduce myself shortly. And as I said, ask any questions that you have along the way, interrupt me or pop it in the chat. And let's keep the questions coming. So my business Space and Time is all about making conscious choices with how we use our space and our time. So it's not just going about things just because we've always done it like that. You know, life changes. Life can change in the blink of an eye at times as well. So let's roll with the punches. Let's make our systems in our home to make our life easier, and so that we can really, create an environment. And we're talking about crafting today. Create that environment to support our crafting and our amazing habits rather than tripping over it at the front door of the crafting room. Let's make it all work well for us. So yeah, what is your intention? What are you looking to learn today? If you've got something clear in mind that you want to focus on, that really helps you move forward. And I'll let you know how you can continue our decluttering journey after today with some further offers on joining us for our upcoming sessions. Let's have a quick look at the chat. Thank you, Helen. She's from Melbourne. She does invisible mending, so have lots of small fabric samples for patching, as well as a whole lot of threads that are totally disorganized. Storage ideas would be great. Thank you. We'll look at that. MJ's in Bayswater and does a lot of garment sewing from blazers. Wow. Coats, summer dresses, and all sorts of beading. Fantastic. Sorry, beddings, not beading. I can't read. And thank you, Mary Lou, my amazing assistant, for joining us today. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Tiffany, who's in Croydon and does a lot of cross stitch. So thank you. That's given us some good ideas on what we can share today. So here I am. My name is Julie Cliff, and I am a professional organizer and declutter coach. Before I started the business almost 10 years ago, I was an executive assistant and administrator. So helping people get and stay organized in an office was what I loved to do. And then I found a group of professional organisers here in Melbourne that went into people's homes and helped them get their things organised. And so I've been doing that ever since. Now I have a team of 7 here in Melbourne and 1 in Geelong, married, husband and 2 teenagers who are both in bed still because it's holidays here at the moment in Melbourne. So that's a little bit about me. And that little thought bubble off my head there says I'm writing a book to go through the 6 steps of the space and time organizing system, which we will find out more about today. So stay tuned for the book coming out next year. So I just wanted to, before we start to tidy up the place, have a bit of a think about some of the impact of clutter and disorganization in the home. And it's well known that clutter causes stress and anxiety. You can't find things, you overbuy things, you're tripping over things, and it's just so frustrating when you're running around trying to find something, particularly if you're in a hurry, trying to get to work and that sort of thing. And your clutter also affects your productivity and your focus. If there's too much stuff everywhere, your brain becomes overwhelmed and it just hasn't got the clear focus that it would have in an organized and serene environment. So these are some of the things we're trying to overcome today by getting organized in our craft room. And clutter can affect our overall well-being as well. As I mentioned, it reduces our focus, and that focus can be reduced while we're at home and at work. I've mentioned often that the clutter seems to follow you out the front door. It sort of weighs on your shoulders. You feel a bit guilty, you feel ashamed, and it follows you everywhere you go. This is what my clients tell me as well. So it's not just your stuff at home, it follows you around. And our clients at Space and Time are impacted by clutter in many different ways. So whether it's just their personal, their financial, their their hobbies, just trying to get dinner ready, whatever it might be, affected by clutter in many different ways. So the 4 key things that we're going to look at in relation to why get organized, particularly in our craft rooms and our crafting equipment. The first one is increased productivity. So if you can find your stuff that you want to use for crafting, you waste less time and can be more productive. So that's a really big key one when it comes to being able to craft and enjoy your hobbies when you want. And of course, a tidy and organized space also inspires creativity and encourages new ideas. So a really nice looking space like this on the right, probably not quite that realistic really. If you're a crafter, you would have a few more things than this image on the right. But, an organized and tidy space can enhance your productivity and creativity because you're not quite so overstimulated as we mentioned before. And also being organized can help with your cost efficiency. So if you know where things are and you're keeping track of your inventory, you can avoid duplicates and save money. So it's such a frustrating thing. You've got those buttons, you've got that wool, you've got those threads, but where are they? And trying to do a project and you just need to go down the shop and buy another one. And that can be very frustrating. And of course, at times, we can't replace it because it might be something that you've had for a very long time, or it might be something that you were given and it was just a one-off. So we really want to be able to track what we have. And we also want to get organized so that we have a nice calming and enjoyable crafting environment, which also leads to that creativity we were talking about before. So how do we declutter and get organized? Well, I'm going to share you the 6 steps of the Space and Time organizing system. And if some of you have been to some of our workshops before, you would know that the
you can tell me it moves or it doesn't move.
Somebody is chatting away. I better just mute everybody. These 6 steps of the Space and Time organizing system is really helpful to help you know where to start, how to travel along the decluttering journey, and then all the way through to maintenance. So let's follow these 6 steps as we go today. The first one is stop the stuff. I'm going to have some fun talking about how we stop more crafting things coming into our home. The second step, your commitment to being organized. Third step, sort the stuff. Things you no longer need, easy storage. And the last step is maintenance. And for each of these 6 steps, we're going to understand why the step is important and why it is in the position in the 6 steps, and how we can go about implementing the step. So the first step, stop the stuff. So have a good think about where your crafting materials are coming from, and start to be mindful of what you bring into the home. And a good way to do that is to be able to think about 1 or 2 projects or 1 or 2 areas of craft that you want to focus on one time. And I'm giggling on the inside as I say this. And if you've been to one of my workshops before, you've probably heard me tell the story of how my clients get very grumpy when I suggest they limit the amount of crafting activities they do at the one time, which reduces the amount of stuff that's coming in, reduces the amount of time that you have to spend on all of these projects. I know we do love to craft, we love a hobby, but there are only 168 hours in a week. So we want to be mindful of how we're spending our time. And if we're doing less things at a time, we've got a better chance of organizing it. So we might be just doing scrapbooking and calligraphy at the one time, and maybe your garment construction and your beading and your knitting can wait until next semester or something like that. So just try and reduce the amount of things that you're doing at once. I'm sure a few of you are going, well, I can't do that. But I'm just saying, if you are overwhelmed, if it is difficult to manage everything at the moment, just see if you can schedule your time some more so you're working on less projects at a time. Oh, good. Tiffany's just made a comment on that. She says she's doing 7 different cross-stitch projects at the moment. We'll be starting a new one on the 18th of July. And that's fun to be able to switch through the projects, and as long as you're enjoying them, Tiffany. And I think it helps that you've just got the one thing that you're loving at the moment. You're not doing cross-stitch and scrapbooking and card making. And I know a lot of those things are interrelated. But I love that idea. You've got lots on the go. So, but just bearing in mind, if it does get too much, perhaps we can reduce the amount of things we're working at a time. So we're continuing on step 1, stop the stuff and understanding why it's important. We want to say no to new items, as we were just saying. If things are getting overwhelming, maybe that patchwork will have to wait until next semester or next year or next winter. Have a think about setting limitations on acquisitions. So, as I said, no more projects, no more new hobbies, and also involve trusted friends or family for support. So let them know you're going on a bit of a craft diet, or, love your own craft area and use what you've got at home. And get people on board to help you stay accountable, but make sure they are the right people and they're not the ones that are going to be encouraging you to do more. So also looking at setting a budget. Have a think about how much money you are going to spend on your hobby each, whatever it is, 6 months or something like that. Trying to avoid the impulse buys and keep your collection in check. So this can be a great way to stop new stuff from coming in, because I bet you've got oodles of stuff at home that you can use on your next project rather than going out and buying more. You can also create a wish list. So this again can help with the impulse purchases and help you just be purchasing the things that you actually need and are going to use, because I've seen a lot of the memes, and I should include in this next time, that collecting crafting materials and actually doing the crafting are almost like 2 separate hobbies. So let's be realistic about how much time we have to be able to sit down and do crafting. We'll talk about scheduling time for your crafting shortly, but put that wish list together so you've got a clear idea on what you're working on and what you're really loving doing. And there might be some big purchases you want to make, whether it's a new machine or a quilting machine, or, there's so many things we can spend our money on. That is fine, but let's make it a little bit more strategic with our wish list. And as I mentioned before, use what you've got. We would all have plenty of things around the home already to encourage your creativity and your resourcefulness. Come up with a new project and to use what you've got and just be able to reduce the stuff that's coming in the front door and, you know, start to whittle down the stuff that you have at home. And I highly recommend the idea of the 1 in, 1 out rule to be able to balance how much stuff that you've got. Perhaps if you are starting on a new project or a new hobby altogether, maybe you might let go of an old hobby. Maybe you had a cricket, one of those magical machines that cut things out and you can do all sorts of amazing things with the cricket. Maybe you're over that now. Maybe you could sell the cricket and take up your hand sewing instead. So this 1 in, 1 out rule so that you're having less things on the go. Let me know what you think of these strategies for stopping more stuff, because I'm sure a few of them are shaking your head going, what is she talking about? But I'm just trying to think of good ways that we can manage the amount of stuff we have in our home. Also, an inventory of what you've got is a great way to manage what you have. Maybe if you're doing the hand stitching, embroidery, those sorts of things, you have an electronic inventory on the colors or the types of threads, whatever it might be, the codes that go with the numbers, codes that go with the threads. And have a list on your phone so that when you're at the shops the next time, you'll be able to see, oh no, I've got that color, I don't need to buy another one, and really keep that list handy. So what do you think? MJ says, love the saying craft diet. Yes, I think I highly recommend a craft diet to anybody that has a lot of things going on. And Tiffany says, a lot of them a stitch longs where a new part comes out each month. Tiffany, oh my gosh, that's way too much for me. I really don't make time to do crafting. I grew up sewing. I did actually do a certificate of fashion after school. The whole idea was to work in the fashion industry. It didn't happen. Ended up working in rugby league for 15 years instead. But one thing a month just seems like way too much. Personally, I would be unsubscribing to that for a while because I just wouldn't be able to keep up. But I hear what you're saying. A lot of it just keeps coming in the door, doesn't it? All right, what about some of those other things I was saying about reducing the amount of things that you're working on at once? Let me know your thoughts. All right, let's have a look at step 2, your commitment to being organized. You know what? There is no magic wand. I'm sorry, I don't have a magic tool or a button to press today to tidy up and get organized. Being organized really does take time, commitment, and focus, and really just knowing what you're trying to achieve, having a bit of a goal. And I really like the idea of focus. And in that last stop point, it says, don't worry about your wife or husband or the kids at the moment. We're wanting to get you and your craft organized. And I want you to change your mindset towards being organized as well. I don't want you beating yourself up saying you are disorganized. I want you to find all the amazing organizing things you do every day in your whole life, but particularly with your crafting, and start saying to yourself, yeah, I am an organized person. You know, I do have all my pens, which you can't even see, in a nice container. I do have some of my threads organized, and I start to pick those things that are organized and give yourself a pat on the back. And I did allude to it just before when I was talking about focus, about having a think about your future life. So what does your crafting look like? You know, how much time are you spending on it? Do you want to be under piles and piles of fabric and zips and lace? Or would you like a nice space where you can just grab what you need at your fingertips because it's nice and organized, and sit down and craft rather than spend 3 hours looking for that missing button? Have a think about what's that future life going to look like for you. And set up your home to support the rest of your life. So that's more of a general organizing line that I use, but of course you can set up your craft room or your crafting space to support your crafting activities. and really thinking about organizing your physical surroundings so that you can, as I said, actually sit down and do some crafting rather than organizing the crafting work and crafting fabrics and lace and threads and paper and all the bits that go with it. And have a bit of a think about what organized means to you. My home here is fairly neat and tidy. You know, things are generally in the right place, but it's not a show home. It's not perfect. Some other people might come along and go, oh, she's a professional organizer, but you know, it's fine for me. Everybody's happy in the house. So that's what being organized means. We can find things fairly easily, but you might want your crafting room to be absolutely perfect. Or show you some photos and things of some of those rooms shortly, or you might just want to have a general idea of where your crafting items are. And as I've been talking about this morning, prioritize your time and put being organized in your crafting area, put that as a priority. And a great way to put it as a priority is to literally schedule time in the diary. Now, this can be time in the diary to declutter and organize, but of course, put time in the diary to be able to sit down and craft. So whether it's just something you do for yourself at home, you know, would you do it in the morning when you're nice and fresh, or more of an evening things when it's nice and quiet, or schedule some times to go out to some classes. As I often say in these workshops, if it's not in the diary, it doesn't exist. We know how difficult it is to get a coffee sorted out with one of your best friends, and that's something that you really want to look forward to. So we need to spend a little bit of effort, get those times in the diary to get organized. As I said, the literal decluttering, organizing, but putting time in your calendar to reflect your commitment to actually sit down and do the crafting. So need to have all those times in the diary. Let me have a look at the chat. MJ says, as the prices of materials have gone up too much, I recycle my old cotton dresses and make pillow slips and patchwork, etc. Excellent idea, but she still has a lot of materials due to being full-time care of hubby. Not much time left at the end of the day. You're right, MJ. There's only 168 hours in the week. We do need to sleep. We need to feed people around us. So there's not a lot of time for these special activities. Which means even more important to get into the diary. And yeah, the weekends do seem to be taken up by doctor's appointments and just other day-to-day bits and pieces, don't they? So let's make the time to get organized. All right, let's start sorting to help us on our decluttering and organizing journey. I need to update some photos. I need to get some of my fabrics and threads and things out and do some more of these sort of before and after photos. But some of these pictures will still show what I'm trying to say about sorting and the importance of sorting out the stuff. And this is a great place to start because, as you can see in that photo there, that big jumble of my kitchen utensils is just a bit overwhelming. So if you start to group like items together, you can start to make some decisions. But we're not making the decisions just yet. We're just looking at order and clarity. And you can think about this, of course, with your craft, whether it's with the threads, whether it's with your cardstock, whatever you have that needs sorting out, just put the timer on for 10 minutes and start sorting. And the sorted piles can make it much easier for us to decide what to keep and what to let go. And this really helps our brain with the order. Our brains like order to help it process and will certainly make our decluttering more effective. So here is the sorted picture on the right of that same pile of utensils. as you would have heard me say if you've seen some of my workshops before, but from that left pile of stuff, you would never know I have 7 vegetable peelers. So as soon as you start putting like items together, in this case, all the knives or the spatulas or the spoons or the whisks or the vegetable peelers, you can start to see what you've got. So the same would be in your craft room when we start to put the threads together. It might be the different types of threads you have. It might be the different card stock, the different types of craft that you are working on at the moment. You come up with the categories to help you with the sorting. So this, as I mentioned, we're not starting to get rid of things at the moment. We are just going through them, putting them together, so that we can decide soon in the next step as to things that we might want to let go. So here's how we might go about this. Now this, I'm probably preaching to the converted. Most people know how to sort, but sometimes when I give the real basics to people, they go, oh, I haven't thought of that. So I always share the basics. So if you're a painter, put all your paints and brushes together, you know, sort by the acrylics or the watercolors or the brush size or the fibers that the brushes are made out of. Maybe with your tools and adhesives, you can start to put the different glues together, if they're glue sticks or liquid glue, whatever they might be. So start to put those things together so that we're starting to get some order. Different paper and card stock, you know, that might be the different size, the different weight, the different colors. And of course, your fabrics and textiles group into the type of fabric it is, like cotton or silk, or maybe by color, depending on how much you have. And then if you've got beads or jewelry supplies, you can start to sort out the types of beads. That could take you a very long time, or the different sizes. So there's all sorts of things we can do to just start sorting so that brain can process what we've actually got. And as a couple of the girls mentioned before we started, if you've got a big box or a big container of threads, you know, it can be difficult to weed your way through and find the one that you want. So if we can start to sort it, we have a much higher chance of actually sitting down and doing the crafting. This is the next step. So let me have a look at the chat before we move on to the next one. MJ says, did you want yes, that's a good idea. A stock take sale at the before each. Oh, I can't even read. I'll read what the words say. Did you went to a stock take sale each year before? Fun in sorting is realizing what you have and which you didn't know. So yes, you could actually do your own stock take. I would recommend not going to other people's stock take sales unless you have a really good list and take that wish list with you. Don't go to anybody else's sales. Do your own stock take and see what you've got and reacquaint yourself with the items that you already have at home, because yeah, reacquainting yourself with your stuff is pretty cool. Like it happens all the time. Like my clients say, oh, I don't even remember buying that. So it's like shopping all over again. So we are zooming along. We are into step 4 now, things you no longer need. Now, this is a tricky one. This is the decluttering step, and it can be tricky in relation to crafting because a lot of the things are interrelated, and you can hang on to things just in case. But I want to try and get around that as well. Let's have a look at what we're mentioning here in understanding why step 4, things you no longer need, is important. So the idea here is making space for the items that are important. As I mentioned before, perhaps we're going to let go of an old hobby. We're going to let go of the cricket and bring in watercolors. So really the idea of letting go of what we're not enjoying anymore, and the idea of bringing in the fun stuff and making stuff for the fun projects you're working on. This step also helps clear the physical and mental clutter. So decluttering and organizing our spaces around us so we can do the crafting. And the previous 3 steps have really helped us get to this point, stop the stuff from coming in, which I think we're going to talk about on the next step as well. Stop the stuff from coming in. We've sorted it. We made a commitment to being organized and we've sorted it. So it's really helped us get to this decluttering step. So here's some ideas on how we can let go of things we no longer need. Now, bearing in mind, this says things you no longer need. It's not get rid of everything you've ever owned. It's not get rid of things that you're still using. It's let go of things you no longer need. So we can start with the easy choices. It might be the things that are broken, things that are stained, let go of the duplicates, let go of the hobbies that we're no longer pursuing. As I mentioned, we can find somewhere to donate those items to. And it's okay to let go of unfinished objects. The UFOs, it's no problem to do that. If you take that to the op shop, they will love it. And some other crafter will come along and pick it up. Or you could offer it on Facebook. Some other needlework person might come along and finish that off. So there are people out there that will take your things. So just bear in mind with that. And that often helps my clients when they know that the objects are going to a good home. As I mentioned, know where you can donate. If you have a look at spaceandtime.com.au, there's a big long list there on places here in Australia, in Melbourne, to donate things. And if you're joining us from overseas, you would have similar places as well. You could look up, where can I donate unwanted wool or vintage lace, or where can I donate zippers? And it will come up with a big long list. A couple of good places here in Melbourne to donate crafting things is the Reverse Art Truck and Resource Rescue. So check out both of those, Reverse Art Truck and Resource Rescue. They are a treasure trove, a very interesting place to visit. Again, take your list of things you need. Do not pick up things just in case you're going to use them. You need to be very disciplined, but you could just find some weird and wacky things that you need to finish off the project that you are working on. And another great way to let go of things you no longer need is to let go if you have multiple. If you've got 6 sewing machines and 6 overlockers and they pretty well do the same thing, line them all up, get out some bits of fabric, do some test runs. Which one do you like the best? Which one does the foot work best up and down? Which is easiest to go backwards and forwards? Which one's easiest to thread? Have a good think of which are your favorite machines. Let some of them go so that you've got some more space to actually do your crafting or to put your crafting materials away neat and tidy. So let go if you have multiple. So what other ways have you actually let go of things you no longer need? Where have you donated it to? Who have you given it to? How did you decide to let go of the things that you're no longer working on? Let me know in the comments, and would love to hear your thoughts on step number 4, things you no longer need. So those first 3 steps, I've got this slide in the wrong spot, but that's all right. I've accidentally moved it. We were just talking about the first 3 steps. We've actually been through the first 4, which was stop the stuff, get committed to being organized, and get committed to doing your craft, sorting the stuff, and then we've just been going through step 4, which is things you no longer need. MJ says she donates to the Salvos, U3A, that's a good one, University of the Third Age, and Facebook Marketplace, all great places to get rid of things. Helen says, I've given some things away through the local Good Karma network on Facebook and also to op shops. I love that idea, Helen. Facebook is an amazing place. These Good Karma or Buy Nothing groups and even Marketplace, as MJ suggested. So as I said, people will want your stuff. Don't just hang on to it and squirrel it away for a rainy day that never comes. Pass it on to somebody else that will enjoy it. Yeah, and Tiffany also says Buy Nothing groups on Facebook have been good for her too to donate things. All right, here comes some fun things. Easy storage. Now, easy storage is deliberately the 5th step, so that we've done all our decluttering and we've sorted it all out, and now we know what we're keeping. Then we can go out and buy or repurpose things around the home for the storage. We didn't start right back. I didn't say go to your local supermarket and buy a bundle of containers, although sometimes that can be helpful when you're sorting. But it really is knowing what you've got and then being able to get just the right, drawers or boxes, containers, whatever it might be, a rack to hang your things on. So this step is all about creating permanent homes for your items, making it easy to retrieve and easy to put the items back. So it's all about easy storage. So you can also go through and label the box, the shelf, or the container. We'll show some ideas of that shortly. And if you need some help, get some, sorry, not if you need some help, if you have outside help coming into your home, if you're caring for somebody, you may also have someone that comes in with the cleaning and with the meal preparation and that sort of thing. It can be really helpful if everything's organized and labeled. They're probably not going to come in and do the craft with you, but also this helpful for your family members as well. Maybe they would sit down and do some crafting with you, so that they might want to know where the brushes are or the paints, whatever it might be. So that's what easy storage is all about, making it nice and easy to be able to find things and then put them back to where they live. On the right is, I should have written where it came from, but it's a picture from a card making and a paper supply shop. So this is a beautiful little, desk and things that go together, all the bits and pieces in relation to card making. That looks very pretty. So understanding with our easy storage that storage items like boxes, like drawers, like containers are something that makes the task easier. But the tools are not magic. You don't just click your fingers at the end of the day and it goes and sucks all the stuff that you've used back into that box. You need to be diligent. We need to be committed, as we said in step 2, your commitment to being organized. You need to use these containers and boxes and baskets and put the items back in there once you've used it. And I've had so many people say to me, I need a better system. Well, yes, you do need a better system, but then you've got to use the system. As it says there, the tools and the systems we are using are not magic. We need to, use them. So really in this step, we're not trying to make it look beautiful like the picture on the right. We're just trying to make it organized, making it work well and efficiently. And once you are organized, you can start to really tweak and color code and all those sorts of things, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it done to make your crafting easier. And here are some cool ideas on how to get yourself sorted, like containers, jars to put your materials in so that you know what you've got. You can use the wall, such as a pegboard, hooks and baskets, to be able to use that vertical space and really clear up your flat surfaces for your crafting. You can use stackable containers and bins and label them, or you might have these little clear ones so that you can easily see what they are in there. It looks like on the top left is like little tiny coffee cups. I don't actually know what they are. Maybe they're stamps. It's very cute, but it looks a bit weird. So yeah, you could easily have containers and bins that are nicely organized like this. Also think about having movable storage, easy storage. And these are very versatile, just to be able to move things around and offer flexibility for crafting. So you might put a few things in this out of your spare room, wheel it through to the kitchen table where you do your crafting or wherever it might be, and be able to use this sort of thing just for flexibility, and an extra bit of storage space that you have. So lots of different sort of sizes and shapes and colors for these types of carts. Again, just flexible craft storage. Don't forget the idea of just the beautiful little containers inside a drawer so that you can have like items together. We did that sorting right back at the second step. Third step, SYS, third step, and just put your little sorted goodies in here. We've got some glue sticks, I think. We've got some paint. We've got a staple gun, some tape. Really nice and easy to be able to find things rather than it just be dumped in there in a big mess in that drawer. And you can see on this little drawer, it's labeled as well. The top drawer there says office, and the drawer that's open says craft. So perfect. And continuing on the idea of using the vertical storage, you can use these hanging type bags. You could put shoes in it. I've seen shoes, I've seen belts, I've seen scarves, but this one looks like it's got pencils in it. You could put anything from your craft room in these little hidey holes, and that's just sliding along on a curtain rail. You could put it on the wall, you could put it in your wardrobe, you know, a million different uses for this vertical storage, again, to get it up off the surface that you're actually crafting on, but it's still within hand's reach, just to be able to grab the bits and pieces that you need for out of your vertical storage. Oh, I should have added some more. I was so excited. I usually don't put a lot of storage options in my presentations because you can find millions of them online. If you look up easy storage for embroidery threads or storage for sewing threads, storage for buttons, you know, you would come up with a million different ideas. So knock yourself out and have a look up for those, just the right thing that you need. But sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect, just be good enough. So I haven't added too many, but I was enjoying scrolling through these easy storage options and coming up with some fun ideas. But personally, the easiest way to store things is to have less. So that's why that first step, stopping more from coming in the front door, is so important. Just so we have less to manage, less to clean, less to sort through. You know, there is absolutely no point having, you know, knowing that you have that pink lace that you bought down the local market. I've got it somewhere, but you can't put your hands on it. You know, it's almost useless. So if we have less, we know where it all is. We've got it in these easy storage options, that our crafting can be so much more enjoyable. And as I keep saying, having the time to actually sit and craft rather than having to spend time on organizing. Let's have a quick look at the chat before I move along. Thanks, Mary Lou. She's put a link there for donation options you no longer need. So that's our website, and it's got lots of different places, particularly for here in Melbourne and in Victoria, for donating items. But if you are joining us from overseas, have a look at that list anyway, because it'll probably give you some ideas on what you can look up and the search terms to look up so you can find places to donate. Thanks, MJ. Loving the hanging pocket idea. I think I've got one somewhere. I hope you can put your hand on it and that actually put something in it. That would be awesome. All right, let's go on to our last step, which is maintenance. How are we going? Pretty good for time. Awesome. So the reason why maintenance is so important is that decluttering and organizing is not just a one-time job. Yeah, we do often do spring cleaning, or over the school holidays. I know I do in January, often go from top to toe of the home and do a good clear out. But decluttering is really just the start. Maintaining the order is the real challenge and the thing that we should be doing each and every day. So we want to embrace the daily decluttering and organizing habits to be able to maintain our space. So as I was saying, you use the scissors, you put it back in the little pot. You use the glue, you put it back. And it's okay to have multiples of things. If you have a crafting area and you use scissors, tape, and glue a lot, have them in your crafting area. But you might have scissors, tape, and glue out in the junk drawer in the kitchen as well. You don't want to be getting up and down all the time looking for these things. Have them so they're nice and easy to be able to grab and easy to put back, so helping with your daily maintenance. And during the session today as well, we also were thinking about your future life. What does that crafting room look like? How do you feel when you are sitting down crafting? You've got the space, you've got the things that you need, and keep that future life in mind to be able to keep it in that organized way. So don't forget to put it in your calendar. Literally put it in as an appointment, write it in your paper diary, or have it in your electronic calendar that goes bing when it is time for your crafting or your time for your decluttering, and set up a routine to help you keep things in order. Just as an example, it's not to do with craft, but my family and I, after dinner each night, nobody's allowed to go anywhere until the table is clear, the kitchen bench is clear, the dishes are in the dishwasher, and the dish drainer is empty. And while that's happening, my husband is often folding the washing, having everything lined up, ready for everyone to grab and put it away. So that's something that we all do as a family. It's part of our routine. It's not actually in our calendar, but it's definitely something we do every night to get the family involved. And that's part of our house rules, to getting them to help with the maintenance of keeping the kitchen tidy and keeping clothes in their room. I'm happy to do their washing for them, but they need to take it and put it away so that they know where their clean and folded washing is. Sometimes with the teenagers, it is on the floor, but that's up to them. They need to be able to maintain that themselves. So that's just a small thing we do as a family, part of our routine, to be able to help with the maintenance around the home. But you can also seek accountability and community support to help you stay organized. You know, invite your friend over, invite your sister over, your mum, your brother, your cousin, somebody to help you do some of this maintenance. Or you could get professional help from someone like myself at Space and Time and the team. Or again, if you're joining us from overseas, look up professional organizer in my area, and I'm sure someone will pop up. And we continue to tweak the maintenance systems around the home so that it suits how we are working. Again, if the scissors aren't in the right spot, you might want to buy another pair of scissors so you've got them right where you use them. I have a pair of scissors in our pantry so that we can just open like the flour packets or the rice and pour it into the container. So keeping scissors in the pantry might seem a bit weird for other people, but that works for me, and they're right there. I don't need to walk back out to the kitchen. They live in the pantry. So continuously adjust and adapt your systems to suit how your day is working and how your crafting is working. So let's go through a bit of a summary. Don't forget, we will have a bit of time. We've got a couple of minutes at the end to ask some more questions or ask questions in the chat. What have we missed? What didn't make any sense? What would you like to clarify? Is there anything else that you'd like some help and advice on? Let me know. So the summary for today is be mindful of what you bring into the home. I was giving a Declutter Your Life presentation a couple of weeks ago locally here with the city of Boroondara. And one of the ladies at the end of the session, she said, put her hand up and said, I don't think you quite understand. She said, I'm a crafter and everything just seems to meld into one. You can't stop. And I just sort of was shaking my head at the time going, I think you completely missed half of what I was saying in the session, that you've got to put boundaries on. Otherwise, your house will be full. Your house will be full. Your crafting room will be full. It'll be spewing over into other people's area in the home and taking up valuable space. So you must stop more from coming in, and you absolutely need to put boundaries on. So as I said, I'm sure she completely missed the point. I know you could continue to collect more and more and more, but think about the amount of time we are putting aside. MJ mentioned how busy her week is with looking after her husband. We don't have a lot of time to sit down and do this stuff. So do the maths. How many projects do you need to fill up the next 12 months type thing? Be mindful about what you bring into the home. Make time for being organized and for crafting. Make conscious choices about what to keep and what to let go. Sort into like items, set up the storage or the permanent homes, and I can never see that last word, whatever it says in my little, go away, my little menu won't go away. Whatever that bottom line says, I'm sure it's great. Set up the permanent home. What's it say, Mary Lou?
Keep it up.
I'll keep it up. Thanks,
Yeah.
MJ. Yeah, and keep it up. Yes, keep it up. It just won't go away. That I've got the little strip across the bottom of the page with the menu. So the chat, share, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't want to go away. I think it's trying to tell me that somebody's put a message in chat. I couldn't read it. Thank you. So let's let our stuff bring us closer to what we want. So closer to enjoying our crafting rather than too much crafting stuff getting in the way of the life that we want to live. Practice makes perfect. So, spend time on this decluttering and organizing every day. You will get much better at it. Remember that good self-talk and patting yourself on the back, catching yourself for doing good organizing things. Keep it up. And it may take some time, but soon enough, you'll be into some good habits and putting the scissors away without even thinking about them. So as I mentioned before, check out our website for those resources of where to donate, but there's lots of other things on there, including tips and blogs, our other links to our workshops on Facebook. Have a look at LinkedIn, have a look at Instagram. We've got lots of different socials to be able to continue your decluttering journey. If you found this helpful today and you could see yourself using this and watching the recording again as you're doing your decluttering, check out YouTube because there's lots of other ones there as well. Like if you want to declutter your garage, we've got one there. You could have me chatting away about decluttering your garage while you're actually out there doing the work. There's wardrobes, there's meal planning, all sorts. So check out some of those resources. Upcoming events, 2 weeks time, wardrobe declutter, 18th of July. So 2 weeks time at the same time. Have you got too many clothes? Most of them that you don't wear, which means you can't find something that you do wear. Come along to our workshop. We'll go through the same 6 steps of the space and time organizing system, and we will get your wardrobe sorted. And just as a thank you for coming along today, I'd love to offer you a 15-minute free chat via Zoom. So reach out to us, info@spaceandtime.com.au, and I can help you plan your decluttering journey, or maybe you might like to book in a session with me or one of my team if you are here in Melbourne. So let me have a look at the chat. I'll stop my share. We'll have a look at the chat and we've got time for some questions. Let me have a look at the chat. MJ says, I must get rid of the old habit first to adopt a new habit. I like that idea. Yeah, let's work on replacing an old habit with a new one. That's a good idea. Thanks, Mary Lou, for those links, spaceandtime.com.au website. and then the registration for wardrobe declutter and the 15-minute clarity call. You can book that in, or our email address is there if you've got any questions. What did we miss? Dola and Helen, Rebecca, Tiffany. Hello, Jade. Nice to see you. And Elwyn, what else would you like some help or advice on? And also tell me, what was the best tip for the day? Elwyn.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
I'm sorry that the picture isn't there. I've got my passwords all muddled up.
No problem.
I think you've come up with some great ideas. I live in a very cluttered circumstance, and thinking about the future, and then going back to the beginning of what you talked about today, I think is the strategy. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that's been helpful. And yeah, if we can stop more stuff from coming in the first place, it's a really good place to start. And then at least we know we're not still, bailing water out of the sinking boat if there's more coming in.
I'm nodding my head.
Good on you. I'm glad that's
I have started digitally because such a lot of clutter comes in your emails, and that's where I've started with the computer.
Right.
And I plan to spread it.
Yeah, good on you. And we have done digital decluttering workshops before. So have a look at our website, onto our YouTube, and have a look at, again, you can just have me chattering away in the background while you're doing your great work with your digital decluttering.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure. Awesome. Helen says, I think the take-home message for me is to get rid of some of the early materials I got from the op shops when I just grabbed anything that I thought would be useful. I love that idea. If you haven't used it for a while, you probably won't. I love that idea. Get rid of some stuff you've had for a while. Now I've got a better idea of what I use and will never use. So no use keeping it, keeping the ladder. Yes, I love it, Helen. Get that stuff out the door so you've got more space for the stuff that you are using. Jade, good on you. Thanks for your comment. Setting boundaries for supplies. As a crafter, everything is potential supplies. I hear you, but we need to put the boundaries on, don't we? Because how many plastic containers to store beads do we need? How many plastic containers do we need to mix paint? Those sorts of things. I hear you. I am a crafter. I don't make time to do it at the moment because I'm busy running the business, but I hear you there. But we must put those boundaries on. So I'm glad that resonated with you. Helen says also to look online for ideas for embroidery thread storage. You will love it. That's the biggest problem. Helen, yeah, have a look, see what you think is going to work well for you for the embroidery thread storage. Or ask friends what they use, just get some ideas online, but just making sure you're going to get that right thing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just the right thing. Thank you, Dola. Thanks a lot. I've started to declutter already. Shall do the maintenance. Excellent. All right, any final thoughts before we finish up? We've finished right on the perfect time. So I thank you all for coming. One last question. You're welcome, Helen. She says, that was fabulous. Thanks so much. No, awesome. All right, well, great to see you. Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time for the wardrobe decluttering. But would love to hear from you if there's anything else that we can help you with, whether it's just that 15-minute chat to keep you on your way, or if you would like some hands-on help if you are here in Melbourne or Geelong. Thank you so much. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. See you, Mary Lou.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye,
Dola,
everyone.
Rebecca, Tiffany, Elwyn. Thank you. See ya.